What test? Test. Physics test. Yeah.
Donna had these dance competition things, so she's not coming to the lesson today because she can't get home at like 3 a.m. or stuff.
I know. Yeah. It's okay. It will be, the lesson will hopefully be online anyway. So, physics test. Not open book. Okay. So, learn the formulae. For example, and any others that we have done.
What?
Okay, so you learn the formulae.
I'm Karen. I accidentally took my math notebooks with my notebooks.
No, you can take some paper. If you forget a formula in the test, you may ask for it. And drop a point. Okay? So if you've forgotten it, you can ask for it. You'll just get a point deducted. Okay? And then you can do the rest of the problem.
Have you done the, like, have you made it, the test already?
Yeah, I haven't printed it yet.
Do you think it's hard?
I could do it quite eeasily.
Well, if you get a mindset like a person like me.
There are easier questions and there are harder questions. So some of them are mathematical, some of them are more descriptive. I've tried to give a balance. Okay. Second thing I'll say, remember units, e.g. 4 newtons shows it is a force. Remember kilometers per hour to and from meters per second conversions. Okay, the test covers all topics this term. Forces, resultant forces, balance, pressure, velocity, acceleration, and then what we're going to do today, weight and mass. a little bit more of that. Okay. So, any questions? Yeah.
So when you say you can ask for the formula, what do you mean? Like,
If you've got a question where you have to work out a numerical answer and you've got to do a calculation, but you're not sure which calculation it is because you can't remember the formula, like acceleration is changing velocity over time, I just ask me and I'll write it down for you. But you'll lose that point that would have gone for that formula.
so not like point in the criteria.
No.
Oh.
So if the test is out of 70, say, then your test will only be you cannot get 70, you can only get 69. Yeah?
Yeah.
You won't drop a point in the criteria. Well, you might if you're on the border, but that's not the idea. That would be cruel. Any other questions? Silence. Good time to do this because you just copy it down and you don't think about it. You aren't awake enough yet to panic, I hope.
I slept 7 hours.
Good. You clearly need more.
On the test, so it says like these mathematical questions. So are you looking for like the right answer or using the like
Method. The numbers don't really matter that much. It's the right method. And there'll be no calculators. That's one thing I've got to check, that the numbers aren't so horrible that you can't deal
It'd be
with
like
them.
very simple math.
Well, what do you mean by very simple?
5 timetable, 2 times table. Anything very simple.
No, come on. You can do your 7s and you can do your 9s.
I can do my 9s and then the 7s are maybe. I'm not good at math.
7 times table is beautiful. What could be more beautiful than 7 sevens being 49? 8 sevens being 56. That's quite pretty. I'm being sarcastic, but okay. What you mean? You want me to avoid the 13 times table?
Yes, please. Oh right, you've done the test. So how did you use the 13 times?
I can't remember. I need to sit down and do the test and see whether I need to change it. I can't remember the 13 times table. So actually, the 9 times table is quite important on there for physics. Because 9 point. Anyway. Right. Today's lesson.
Continue.
Well, did we talk about acceleration due to gravity last time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well remembered. That's 2 weeks ago. So we talked about falling off the tower and you accelerate. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now, the acceleration due to gravity, g on Earth, is what value?
Something 9.
Something 9, almost. G on Earth, you don't have to write this bit, is 9.8 meters per second squared. Yeah? That's beautiful. It is, because it's, yeah.
This is everything.
I'll tell you what to use. But what's 9.8? It's 2 times 4.9. 49? 7 times table? Oh, it's beautiful. Okay, all right. You don't share this idea. Philistines, heathens. Numbers are beautiful. Okay, today's lesson. Numbers, no. G, weight, and mass. Weight, binary, mass, massa. So, what actually is weight? What is weight? It is the force of gravity on an object. Okay. It's the force of gravity on an object. On Earth, my weight, me, I was very unhappy this morning. I got on the scales and I weighed myself. Got to do something about this. My weight was 936 newtons. You look confused.
Can we put our own weight to it? Or do we?
You can put mine. I'm not embarrassed. You put your own weight if you like. Do you know it?
Yeah.
I won't ask you what it is. I'll be very impressed if you do know it. Because, why is it that? I have 93.6 kilograms of matter in me. I got no idea how much dark matter I've got in me, because that doesn't weigh, that doesn't record. So the scales tell me I've got 93.6 kilos. Puh. Horrendous to think that 2 years ago I was, what, 77 kilos? So I times it by 10 to get the force of gravity on me. So it's really, really important in physics, weight in newtons, mass in kilograms. So whenever you go to the scales and you weigh yourself, you are actually not weighing yourself, you are finding out what your mass is. But everybody will think you're a real nerd if you say, oh, my weight is 700 newtons, which is a mass of 70 kilos. 55 kilos is 550 newtons. Okay, so what is the connection? Weight equals mass times g. And on Earth, we say g equals 10 meters per second squared, approx. Okay, So in everyday language, what we talk about, the amount of stuff in our body, whether we feel we are too tight in our clothes or too loose in our clothes or whatever, we're talking about our mass. So you don't have a problem with your weight, you have a problem with your mass. Because your weight problem is very, very easily solved. You want to weigh less? Go to the moon. You want to lose weight? Go to the moon. Go into space. Easy. Your clothes won't be any tighter or looser because the mass is what you actually have more of a body image issue with. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's a language issue. Sorry. Okay, so on the moon, Karin weighs 93.6 times 1.6 because that is G equals 1.6 meters per second squared on the moon. I am going to be a wicked hypocrite and use calculator. So I'd be 150 newtons. So I would actually feel 1/7 of my weight that I feel on Earth. Because there's 1/7 of the gravity. I'm still the same person, but my force is different. This is a really important concept. Yeah.
Are there going to be these kind of decimal multiplication?
Yeah, by the way, yeah.
Not difficult ones. If there is, the answer will only be 1 mark, anyway, 1 point. The process is more important. Yeah? So I'm not going to make you do hours of long division because it's not a maths test. I mean, even if you say, oh, that sum, even if you literally wrote the sentence, that sum is too complicated, I can't be bothered to work it out, newtons, yeah, you wouldn't lose 4 or 5 marks, you'd only lose 1 point for it, okay? So don't worry about that. I don't know what you use for the approximation sign. Do you write approximately a squiggly thing like that?
I have it both.
Both squiggly is fine. Both squiggly is fine. Yeah. Okay. So important. Mass doesn't change with location. Weight changes as it is a force. So mass is really the amount of stuff or material that you've got in something. So if you want to lose mass, then you need to cut your arm off or less, or P more, or whatever. Okay. Or gain mass by bulking up your muscles. Any questions? So, different planets have different Gs. We can also change the G that we feel by experiencing G-force. Ooh, you like that, do you?
Oh,
You like
It's
G-forces?
a good movie. That is.
It's a great.
Yeah.
There's actually a movie called G-force.
Yeah, it's about.
guinea pigs that are secret agents.
Yeah, it's the best thing that's ever happened to
I have
us.
to see that.
Is it anything to do with physics?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really fast.
Robots take over the world.
Guinea pigs have
On the robots.
Yeah.
So, when do you experience G-forces? Yeah. Roller coasters. Vile, horrible things. Right.
I love them.
You love roller coasters. I must admit, you are deprived here. You have linen mucky.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Woo!
I honestly love.
Yeah. Okay. So, Baltavi.
I don't like G-forces because my whenever me and my friends go to like, for example, the sombrero in the Drum
Yeah.
they
Throw up.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't, and it's really annoying.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't. No.
I've never thrown up.
Lucky you. So, where else apart from the roller coaster do you get to experience some G-forces? Yeah.
Elevators?
Yes. Good.
Wait,
Yeah.
if you go fast on like a snowmobile, or like
Yeah. What do you? Right. When you're on the snowmobile, when exactly do you get the G-forces?
when it goes through.
When you accelerate.
Right. When at the beginning, when you accelerate. Good. When you accelerate. In a lift, when you experience the G-forces.
When you accelerate.
Which is when? The beginning or the end of the journey. Yeah? Valtteri?
When you basically jump from high, really high.
When you're actually falling, you don't experience any Gs. When you're in a plane traveling in a straight line, do you experience G-forces? No.
Dips down like.
When it dips, you do, and also when it starts going, yeah, but also when it turns. Yeah.
Skydiving.
I want
When?
to do skydiving.
When you
Right, you don't feel like you are falling when you are skydiving, except at the very beginning. You actually don't feel anything. You don't feel the G-forces. I'll explain a bit more about that later. You experience yeah. Good, well done. What you mean on the bike? When you do your spinning training on the exercise bike, or when you move, when you rotate? Which one? Okay, yeah. When you are moving round and round, when your head is rotating.
On a carousel.
Yes.
On a carousel.
Yeah. Carousel, merry-go-round. Yeah.
So like when you're in an airplane, there's this air bump. It's because of the G-force, we can like feel it.
You feel it because of the G. You experience G forces whenever you accelerate.
So
And
in
that
the beginning,
very often is when you're going in a straight line, taking off, landing. So you're slowing your velocity down, but also because it's to do with a change in direction. When you are going around in a circle or you are rotating, you want to feel some G forces. Probably you can experience little G forces if you do the playground game where you hold hands with someone like this and then you try and rotate round.
I hate it. That's annoying.
Why?
I've never
I
done
don't
that.
know. I just don't like it. It hurts my arms.
Why does it hurt your arms? Okay, it's to do with the forces. It's to do with the
Oh yeah,
forces.
because they're pulling.
Yeah, you're pulling apart. Yeah. Now, usually on our little roller coasters, we're not pulling many G's. Our bodies are designed to cope with 1 G, or possibly a little bit more when we go around corners. Possibly. But we're not designed to go up to feel 5, 10 G's. However, lots of people like to experience that.
Are you ready?
So these are people training. They're not experienced with it. And the number here
3, 2, 1, engage.
is the number of G's that they are experiencing.
How you doing?
If you lose all the green, tell me now and start that lower body stretch, okay?
Okay.
Squeeze those legs nice and tight. 1, 2, 3. You're looking real good. Squeeze everything nice and tight.
I'm moving it.
Not yet, not yet. It's only 2 G's.
Okay.
Only 2 G's.
You should feel like you're going straight up in the air at this point.
That's 4 G right there. You're doing good.
3, 2, 1.
So this is a sudden change of G's.
On top. On top, breathe. Non-stop breathe. Non-stop breathe.
Okay, big breath. Lock off the awareness.
Non-stop breathe. Hold. On top, breathe. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Go to your breath.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
1.
So, what we laugh. Why do they look so much in pain? Yeah, they are in pain. Yeah,
Because there's so much force coming. Like,
huge amount of force. 5 G's is 5 times your body weight. Fun. So imagine probably the time you are most familiar with G forces is when you're on a plane taking off and landing, yeah? So you're taking off. In which direction do you feel your body being moved from the G force of takeoff? Yeah,
like to the seat.
to the seat, pushed into the seat. Okay. So if something's moving forward, the 5 G's, you're going to feel 5 times your body weight pushing you down.
I love taking off and landing. It's the best thing that happens.
It's a lovely, lovely, lovely feeling. But these guys, well, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but you can experience a G-force when you're going around a corner in a car.
Yeah. Oh, I love it in a car.
Glad you love it. Okay.
But I've never.
So how are these guys getting their G-force, centrifuge G-force, well, actually, they're going to get G-forces as they are taking off, landing, etc. But the way to get really high G-forces is spinning in a centrifuge, like that.
Is there a person inside?
Probably.
I had a dribble.
So the person is sat, their head is here, their bum is here, so the G-force is pulling towards the center or away. Actually, they're feeling it away from the center, so they're feeling pushed into their seat. So when you see their faces down like that.
Oh, I thought their faces were actually looking.
Yeah, what were you going to ask?
What was the average G-force when you take off?
It's very, very low. It's 2 or 3 times, something like that. It's not high at all. It depends on the acceleration of the plane, and also the angle it goes up at. But I don't believe it's very high. You'll get more off a roller coaster. Yeah.
People die for centrifuges.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. Because the people who are being trained in those centrifuges, they are astronauts, they are pilots. You don't just take them up to 9, 10 G, because that will make any normal human being black out and faint. That doesn't happen, okay? If I went in that, I'd die. I know I would. Okay, possibly some of you. Not nice, not nice. However, some people make a living out of it on a commercial level.
The Red Bull Air Race pilots must be able to handle extreme G-forces. G-force.
Have you seen these Red Bull races? Where
I
you
swear
get
to God, that man talks in every video.
Is much like driving your car around a tight corner where you feel
Possibly.
yourself pushed in the seat. When we're flying in the Red Bull Air Race, we're pulling up to 10 Gs as we make the pull-up. This is the weight of 10 times your body being pushed down on top of you. When you pull Gs, you're working against your pump or your heart. So it makes it harder for this heart to pump the blood up. In order to help this, what we do is we make our muscles tight, or we contract, we straining maneuver, so we can help push the blood up to our head, which will keep us conscious. If you have less oxygen to your eyes, you cannot see as well. We lose color. Everything becomes black and white. Plus, we lose our peripheral vision, and it gets very narrow. So you can feel these things as happen to you as you start to pull. And this would be an indication that, hey, maybe I need to ease off a little bit, because if I continue to pull, it's lights out. It's all black. Normally, I pull 10 Gs. I think over 12 Gs is maybe a little bit too much. You can pull muscles. You can perhaps lose consciousness briefly. So about 12 Gs is enough.
I think about 12 Gs is more than enough. So that is 12 Gs while in a tight turn, and it's only kind of at an instant. If it was an average of 12 Gs, then you're going to be dead. Not going to be healthy. So what you like from roller coasters and from going around corners fast and from taking off and landing is probably a much smaller amount of Gs, but it does feel good to most people. Other people, it makes them very, very ill, like me. We'll talk about why in a minute. Very weird again. But I want to leave you, before we have a break, the pilots who are training to go up to 10 G in military training, they are going to be flying aeroplanes. Now the aeroplanes, fighters, like the Hornets, you see them whizzing around the skies above Oulu, and you see their wonderful air trails, all twisty and turny. Yeah. Now, the technology that makes military planes at the moment is so advanced that humans are expected to black out when they're going around the bends. Aeroplanes can fly, Hornets and fighter planes can fly much, much faster than they actually do, because the weakest part of the plane is the person flying it. Now, a fighter jet can cost each one millions of euros. Training up a pilot costs millions of euros. So you send out an aeroplane to intercept an enemy aeroplane, and it gets shot down. You've lost all the training. You've lost all the money in that aeroplane. It's a bad investment. So in war areas, in war zones where there is enemy fire, it is now becoming less usual to send out these very, very expensive aeroplanes and completely irreplaceable, but also expensive humans. Instead, what is being used? Drones. Good, drones. I'm not talking about the drones you can buy from Verkkokauppa to take photos. Okay, we're looking at SUVs. SUVs? No. Oh, I've got the acronym wrong, haven't I? UAVs? Yeah, these beasts. Yeah.
How big are they?
Okay. Unmanned, unpersoned vehicles. It does have a pilot. It's not in it. And personally, I find this really, really scary. Okay, they have to be fueled and looked after at a nearby airbase. But the pilot is probably sat in what looks like a nice comfy chair surrounded by games consoles thousands of miles away. And a lot of the pilots for the US Army drones are on the west coast of the USA in military bases, but they go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning and they leave at 4 o'clock at night to go back to their families. They're not living in an actual war zone. It's like at school, kids can say, oh, what does your daddy do? What does your mummy do? Oh, he's a drone pilot. Like, actually, that person may have killed 100, 200 people from a drone strike that day, and they go home at night to their own home. So it's not like being sent away on active service. And psychologically, that has a very, very negative impact. Yeah. War used to be you killed the person who you were directly looking at. You could look them in the eye and you could shoot them. This is not the case now. I say it looks like a games console, and some of you guys, and girls smile, but that's how it is. It has exactly the same visual, physical feel as a game, only you are controlling something in real time. Got no idea where this is leading, but obviously the drone is, which could be 100 meters in the air, 200 meters in the air, is focusing on something, locks on its target, and the target is gone. Do you experience the emotion of having killed somebody if you have done that? I know you're following orders and you're not told to feel, but
In my opinion, I don't think they'll feel it. They're not there.
yeah, they're not there. They probably don't feel it. What if it was the wrong target and you've killed a load of kids? The drone strikes that allegedly took out areas around schools and things like that. You still wouldn't feel it, no, but the whole world is disputed. War has become very, very non-contact. Yeah.
How big is this?
How big are they? They're about 1 meter, 2 meters long. They're not very big at all. And they can be piloted. You know, you could fly a drone down the streets of Oulu. Somebody could fly one of those down the streets of Oulu. You can chase people with drones like that. Usually when they're that low down, though, they can be shot down. But they're a lot cheaper than flying an ordinary airplane. They can cope with much tighter, you know, turning and maneuvers. And they're just like radio controlled planes, but they're radio controlled from continents away. I've got to admit, I find modern warfare like that really mind-blowingly disturbing and sad, and it makes it very, very easy to just, okay, let's send in the drones. You know, we don't ever have to hear the people crying as they've lost their loved ones, etc., etc., etc. Horrible, horrible. So, but amazing technology, and a lot of it's come down from the economics, because human beings aren't physically strong enough to be able to fly these things in combat. If you're going to be a fighter pilot, if you're going to do the Top Gun stuff, if you've seen the very old classic movie Top Gun, lots of planes whizzing around, etc., etc. Some of the time, the pilots are just going to black out. They're going to lose consciousness, and then they're not going to be able to fly their planes. And definitely in fighter combat like that, you get people to try and chase each other and do these maneuvers so that they're going to fall unconscious and they're going to crash their own plane. Not nice. 3-minute break.
Hey, Vsauce.
Oh. Maybe. Maybe.
Have you got a test coming up?
No, a speech.
A speech? What's a speech?
It's like what is it? Persuasive speech.
Oh, really? Okay, what are you persuading people to do?
That silly is like wild. We need sleep.
Good. I like it. You believe it?
Yes.
You do. Excellent. Yes. What are your? Is it in Finnish? Is it?
Basically, it's boring. Like a bowling in Finland.
Okay. And what you think 16? It's 18 at the moment. Yeah, it is weird that you can get a gun license and you can't vote. Yeah, it is very weird.
Isn't it great?
It's just. We would have started this year. Yeah.
Or they're like 5 minutes. I do like this actually. I think it's stupid.
Kids have more behind you.
I know that.
I thought they were.
Need a phone case. Henry, come to the picture.
They're under there.
Okay, 3 minutes is up.
Okay.
3 minutes is over.
Oh my gosh. One of my friends
Okay. So, Newton's second law, Newton came up with lots of ideas, says F is equal to M times A. The resultant force F on a mass M gives it acceleration A, and resultant force Kokonaisvoima and actually weight is mass times gravity is just one example of this. So, we feel acceleration if there's a resultant force on us. This explains, well, for instance, the snowmobile effect when you're accelerating on a snowmobile. E.g., when a car accelerates, we feel the force F on us in the seat. So if you were a Formula One driver pulling away very, very, very fast, you'd feel pushed back into your seat because of that acceleration. And the faster the more you accelerate, the more you feel it. You also feel very big G-forces if you crash and you slow down very, very quickly.
I don't know what that was.
What?
I don't know what that was, sorry.
It was not a. It's not funny to laugh at car crashes. That's okay.
Wait, no, I was laughing at anything.
Okay, right, fine. Doesn't matter. Have we got an example? Did we calculate an example of acceleration last week? What example did we use?
I think we did Earl.
An accelerating turtle.
No, wait,
We have used Usain Bolt accelerates from rest to 6 meters per second in 1.8 seconds. What is his acceleration?
Right, hang on. So Usain Bolt's acceleration was, what was the answer?
Wait one moment. I don't know. Wait, here's what I.
There you go.
I was not.
Okay, so Usain Bolt's acceleration was 3.3 meters per second squared. If his mass is, now how much do we reckon Usain Bolt's? 175 kilos.
That's fine. I'd say.
94.
Oh, well, he's a big man.
But it's mostly muscle.
Koska Juho otti sen mun vuoron.
Okay, so we worked out last lesson 3.3 meters per second squared. We know his mass. We want to find force. So we remember the formula, F equals M times A. We want F. We simply substitute in 94 times 3.3. I then cheat. Actually, that's not a bad one to do, is it?
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. 3 4s are 12. 3 9s are 28.
Oh no, I'm so stupid.
No, you're not. So, his force is 310 newtons. His accelerating force. $310 newtons isn't a huge amount, really. If you can pick up any person in this room, you can lift them up, you're using more than that force. If your friend has a mass of 50 kilos and you pick them up, it takes you 500 newtons. Okay, so what actually does this all look like? Right, if we've got the ground here, and then we've got Mr. Bolt. Okay, he can produce a force of 310 newtons that's going to accelerate him. So that's going to be the push from the muscles. Now, actually, that's all going to go through his feet and his hands at the start, and then it will continue through his feet. But that is much, much smaller than his weight, which is 940 newtons. And the forces are balanced. He's not falling through the ground, so there must be a push from the ground. Whoever's sending messages, stop it, please. 940 newtons. So these two forces vertically are equal because he's not falling through the ground or he's not leaping up. But this force, 310 newtons, comes from his muscles pushing forward. Now, in fact, his force is going to be a little bit more than 310 newtons. Why must it be a bit more than 310 that he produces?
Because he weighs 94.
No. There's going to be some force trying to slow him down, otherwise he's going to fall over. Friction, yes. There's going to be a little amount of friction. No, he's not. Now, the resultant force of 310 newtons is Usain's muscle force minus friction. So the resultant is what you've got all together. You add up all the forces. And I believe we did resultants quite a long time ago when you were labeling force diagrams. Any questions? It is a bit mind-bending, I agree with you on this.
Would you punch me in the face if I asked you?
No! Why on earth would you ask me to do that? Because you want to get me sacked?
No, I just need someone to punch me.
Why?
I need some sense in you.
Rubbish. Your head is full of sense.
I'll ask my brother.
No! Why? Why are you all on a trail of nonsense, are you, in your brain at the moment?
Yes.
It's not because it's spring and you're in love with someone,
No.
is it? Oh, good. God, that's the worst possible nonsense. God, nothing like spring and things like that. I call the vet. Why is my little cat acting up? Why is he peeing in the wrong place? Cat. Spring. But he's had his bits removed.
My cat has peed in my brother's bed once because it was disappeared.
Oh my god, same, but it's with our dog.
Terrible. Yes.
We just get a new dog in our like place, and then like it just peed all over the house.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's normal.
My dog
That
doesn't
is
have
normal.
He goes to
Okay,
the dog's
okay.
litter box, in our cat's litter box. And
Good.
eats whatever in there.
Ugh.
It's not enough.
Yeah, it's like 1 year.
Yeah, you've got to get used to it. Puppy training, yeah. Right, anyway. So, the resultant force. Add up all forces. in all directions. Let me give you another example. E.g., what is the acceleration on the... Right, let's think of an object or a thing that we can accelerate.
Motorboat.
Motorboat.
Oh, snap.
Okay, so we have
You can basically accelerate a football, right? When you kick it.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't get this.
What? Well, we have a test in 2 weeks, so.
Right, what don't you get? What, F equals MA?
No, I don't know.
Right, here is the motorboat. Let's draw the forces on it. So we'll have the weight. And let's say the weight of the motorboat is how much?
7,500 kilos.
7,500 kilos is wrong. 7,500 newtons.
No, but the 7,500 kilos, it could be a small car.
This is a motorboat. This is 750 kilos. Right. It is not sinking. So therefore, the upthrust must be equal to the weight. In English, we can call it friction or we can call it drag. And let's say that that is 100 newtons. And then the thrust or engine force let's say that is, I don't know, I'm having a guess, 5,000 newtons. Now let's make it a bit easier. 5,100 newtons. Okay. I'll let you draw that.
Is this a pretty important part of the test?
It's all really important.
Got it.
You're just panicking now. Breathe.
What I do?
Okay. Is it important, do you think?
Sure, might be my brother.
Right, answer it then.
Let him out.
Okay. So, if the weight is 7,500 newtons, then the mass is, anyone know how to, yep, 750 kilograms. Good. Weight equals mass times 10 on Earth. Good. So, for the acceleration, first find the resultant force. So, if we drew this out, we'd have 7,500 going up, 7,500 going down. 100 to the left, 5,100 to the right. So if you were stuck in the middle and you had 7,500 going up, 7,500 going down, would you go up or down?
Nowhere.
You go nowhere. You've got 100 to the left, 5,100 to the right. To the right with which force? With how much?
5,000.
Yep. 5,000 newtons to the right. That is our resultant force. It's as easy as that.
It's so easy.
Yes, it is easy.
I think it's just the numbers.
Oh, now I got it.
Yeah, the numbers make you confused. Yeah. So we've got the resultant force. We now want to find the acceleration. Right, so we now use, finally, F equals M times A. 5,000 equals the mass, which is 750 times A. And your answer?
Still counting.
Still counting? How do you do this? Do you do it like that?
Yes.
Okay. So,
It's 6.66666666.
well done.
Oh, let's make the best.
Yeah.
About twice Usain Bolt's acceleration.
Do we need to count this in the head and test them?
Oh, we don't.
We don't have calculators. I'm sorry, my English is
So yeah, it's not
Okay, we have one final bit to do, which will partly be down to Mr. Vsauce. Yeah, so the video link, if you want to watch it, is also on Wikispaces. So we've talked a bit about extra G's, and there's a lot of work being done about living with lower Gs, because the dudes in the International Space Station live in what's called weightlessness. Okay, and this is actually really important. Weightlessness is not usually zero gravity, because the dudes in the space station are orbiting the Earth, so they must be in the Earth's gravitational field. Okay, so there's a really neat way of explaining it, but they go about it quite quickly on Vsauce, so I'm going to try and explain it. Yeah. So imagine that you are on top of a tall building with a gun and it fires a bullet. Yeah? Now, what is going to happen to the path of that bullet? Where's it going to go? We're not going to shoot a pigeon. Yeah.
To the street.
It will go to the street. You're on top of a tall building, but the bullet is going to fall, yeah? So it might fall, I don't know, 200 meters away?
Yeah.
Just an ordinary gun. Right, now, you've gone up there with a very powerful gun. And that gun has a ability to fire 2 kilometers. Yeah. Only it's going to go a bit further than 2 kilometers because the Earth is curved. So it's going to go a little bit extra. Now, if you fire a powerful enough gun, it's going to drop, but at the same curvature as the Earth. It's going to hit you if you took away all the air. Now, that has gone into orbit. It falls because of gravity, but as soon as it falls, the Earth has actually dropped away its curved surface at the same rate. And that is what's happening with the International Space Station. Yeah.
How long would it take for the bullets?
It depends where on Earth it actually is. If it was up at, if you're doing it with a latitude, it's different. Yeah. So, anybody who says that bullet goes around the Earth because there's no gravity, there's no weight, it's actually wrong. There's weight all the time on it, but it's pulling in to the Earth. Now, Mr. Vsauce puts it quite well.
Michael here. How many people are in space right now? .com tells us that the answer is 6. Ever since the
that was a while ago. There's about 6.
52 years ago, more than 500 humans have left Earth, and they've gone as far as the moon, an impressive distance. I mean, space stations, which we use in outer space today, are way cool, but to scale, they only orbit about this far away from Earth, whereas the moon, where Apollo astronauts went, is way out here. For the last 12 years, there has been a continuous and uninterrupted presence of humans living in space. Different people at different times ever since November of 2001. But so far, all of us Every human who has ever existed was born right here on Earth. Of course, Earth is a giant collection of matter that got together in space, held together by its own gravity, so technically we were all born in space. But I want to talk about outer space. What is our relation to it and within it? How suited is our biology for the larger universe we were born into? More specifically, if you were born and raised beyond Earth, what would you look like? First things first, where is outer space? Well, outer space happens to be about 100,000 meters above your head. At that point, the atmosphere is so thin that in order to achieve lift, an aircraft has to travel at a speed so quickly that that speed is the same as an orbital speed. An orbital speed is a speed that is so fast, even with no lift, even while falling, you don't. Because the Earth literally curves away from you as fast as you fall towards it. This is what astronauts in the International Space Station are really doing. They're falling. It's a common misconception that astronauts float around weightless in space because there is no gravity there. But there's plenty of gravity. In fact, there's pretty much the same amount of gravity operating on them that there is operating on you right now while you watch this video. Believe it or not, if we built a tower all the way up to where the International Space Station orbits, 370,000 meters high, and you walked out onto the top of that tower, it would feel kind of like this. You would just be walking around like I'm walking right now. You wouldn't feel that much different, but the International Space Station would be whizzing by at 17,000 miles per hour. It has to, because they are falling. So to say that astronauts float around in orbit because they are experiencing zero gravity is very misleading. Really what they are feeling is zero G, where G is acceleration felt as weight. G hurts so good, because gravity's limiting influence ensures that we develop correctly and healthily. After all, it is what we were born to thrive in. So asking what a human would look like if conceived, gestated, delivered, and raised in orbit would look like requires a discussion of weightlessness. Realistically, people building colonies on planets beyond Earth or traveling through space for long periods of time who expected new humans to be born would utilize technology that helped mimic conditions here on Earth. But until artificial gravity is perfected and can be easily implemented, it's important to understand the effect weightlessness has on our biology and other things. For instance, in a zero-G environment, hot air doesn't rise. So a candle flame is not shaped like a stretched ball of glowing gas that's drawn upward. Instead, it's just a round ball of hot gas. We are not sure we can make babies in space. The logistics of merely hugging are difficult enough. A recent invention called the two-suit might make it easier. The two-suit provides effortless intimacy in weightless environments, such as outer space or on planets with low gravity. But will it be enough to ensure that conception happens? The enzyme responsible for stopping the movement of a sperm cell's tail doesn't work very well when they're at zero G. In space, sperm swim faster. One thing we know about babies inside mothers in space involves the development of the vestibular system, canals in the inner ear that use the flow of fluid to determine movement, up versus down, and balance. In a zero-G environment, the fluid in the vestibular system just floats around. It's confused, and this can lead to motion sickness, visual illusions, and disorientation. It's called space adaptation syndrome, and it affects about 50% of astronauts. Confusion about motion can make you vomit, car sick, seasick, zero-G sick because of survival. It's believed that motion sickness, a confusion about acceleration, is similar to the effects caused by the consumption of poisonous plants, in which case vomiting can save your life. Pregnant rats taken to space give birth to babies back on Earth that struggle with directions. Unlike rat babies that gestated here on Earth, the ones that gestated in space have trouble righting themselves when thrown into water. They do tend to be better at processing orientations common during weightlessness, which is a good sign for humans, gestated and born and raised in space, but it's some of the only good news. Vestibular fluid isn't the only fluid to be affected by a zero-G environment. All of your body fluids are. On Earth, gravity pulls those fluids down, but in orbit, the fluid is free to evenly distribute, giving astronauts their characteristic bird legs and puffy faces. Cosmetically, it's kind of a bummer, and all of that new fluid pressure in your face can compromise vision. Of 27 astronauts studied after long space flights, 9 had fluid expansion around the optic nerve, 6 had eyeballs flattened in the back by fluid pressure, and 4 had bulging optic nerves. More fluid pressure in your head causes an errant message that your body must have too much fluid. So the bodies of zero-G travelers respond by producing less blood. Astronauts can lose up to 22% of their total blood volume while in space, leading to weaker, atrophied hearts. Away from Earth's protection, radiation from the sun and the rest of the universe is incredibly dangerous, and we're still not exactly sure how to best guard against it. Mice exposed...
I'll do for now because it goes on to stuff that isn't necessarily about gravity. So we are evolved to live on 1G. Doesn't look good for space exploration. Mars, however, almost has 1G. So life on Mars wouldn't be so bad. Might be able to make babies on Mars. Are there any questions?
Not bad.
Apart from can we go? Homework is fairly obvious, isn't it?
Study for the test.
Study for the test. If you have any worries or any questions, you may email me or come and see me.